and especially Willie, their national education director, for putting this all together. This is truly an amazing event. They have a really big focus on education, not just selling shears and shows at shows. Thank you so much, Sharkfin, for putting this on. I mean, all this different education from all these artists from all over the world coming together for one main cause is truly amazing. We'd like to give a huge shout out to Pivot Point, who's generously provided these mannequins that we're using today. And I'm really proud to use these mannequins, not just because of the quality, but also because of the ethical manufacturing standards where Pivot Point leads the way. Every single one of their doll heads are ethically sourced. The quality is times 10, times a million, just truly the best mannequin heads in the world. Stick around, everyone, at the end of the class for a chance to win some amazing prizes from our partners valued at over $1,000. Once again, everyone, stick around for the end of the class for a chance to win some amazing prizes from our partners valued at over $1,000. Are you ready, Alan?
I am ready.
All right, let's do it. Take it away.
Okay. Let me, first of all, start off by saying thank you so much for being here. It's always, it's a pleasure doing shows and going into salons, but this may be our new method of working and educating and sharing ideas. So I really honor you for taking time to, come into my little recording area in my house here in Los Angeles and to allow me to share with you some insights that we at Ergo have come up with about blow drying. One of the things about blow drying is that, for me at least, this happened. I don't know about you, but for me it happened. I never got a real blow dry lesson or any training in beauty school. So everything I learned about blow drying, I basically learned on my own and from watching other people. So anything I do today, if it's different than what you're doing, if I say I'm doing this for this reason and you're not doing it, guess what? You're doing the right thing for you right now. All I want to do is share with you some of our tips and techniques about blow drying, especially volume. It's kind of funny, and I think you've probably already come across this in your career. A guest sits in the chair, and during the blow dry, they say, I want a lot of volume. I want volume in my hair. Well, you start doing it, and you create that volume. What's one of the first things they do? They start packing it down. It's too big. It's too full. It's kind of crazy because they want it, but they really don't want it at times. So what I'm going to share with you today are two techniques that I do, and you're probably already doing them, but it's always good to refresh ourselves. I'm going to do what I call mechanical volume. Mechanical volume for me is when you're using a brush and you're using the heat of the blow dryer and tension and letting that curl set in. That's a mechanical way of putting volume in the hair. And it's long lasting. What the other method I'm going to do is what I call organic. And that's really just using the round shape of the head, and hopefully they have a round shape. The round shape of the head, and instead of using a round brush, I'll be using a flat brush or a paddle brush. So I'll give you two options. One is going to be longer lasting. The other one is going to be a little more natural looking. And it's not going to last as long. It's not going to be really full, but it's just going to lift those roots up the right way. And we're doing a lot of that right now. I'm not using any styling products on my mannequin. Again, you have your choices, and God bless you and your choices. I'm just going to work with the hair and the water and show you the technique. So what I'm going to start off with is, and I'll be doing just the top part of this mannequin. Volume basically lives in the top of the head. We can get some width here with a blow dryer, but most people want that volume at the top. And what I'm going to work on, first of all, is using, I use a wide tooth comb, and I just sectioned off a U-shaped parting. And I'm using, again, that wide tooth comb just to get out there any detangles. And I will start in the back, and I'm going to take a section. Actually, I'll start in the front for you. So I'm going to take a section in the front. Now you can pre-dry if you like, get a lot of the moisture out if that's really what you want to do. But I'm going to just work with the moisture content I have right now. And I'm going to turn my little gal here just so you can see better, a little bit of an angle. And I'm going to choose to use a 43 millimeter brush. Now, the Ergo brushes, some of you already may be using them, hopefully. And if not, I think you're going to love them. These brushes are a little different. You'll notice that they have, they're actually 20% longer than other brushes, which means I'm going to get 20% more hair on the barrel. I'm going to do this 20% less in my blow dry and also get finished 20% faster. So this is really important, you know, as we go back into our salons and we're making money, we'll be doing sometimes fewer clients, you know, at a time. So we have to get our speed back up again. So this is a great tool. The bristles here are phenomenal because this actually helps you dry the hair faster, by the way. The bristles are a combination of tourmaline, carbon, and nylon. And it's all mixed together. They're not just layered. The tourmaline, of course, is going to give you beautiful shine and help close down that cuticle so it dispels water. The carbon is going to protect the hair, the bristles from the heat. And the nylon, of course, gives you flexibility. So when you start working with that brush, they start to soften. But when you're done, they cool right back to this position. So it's really a great opportunity to have a good brush that gives you so many variables. Plus, the handle has a great grip, no place to catch any of the hair, and has an aluminum barrel that just heats up beautifully. It's ceramic also, so it heats and cools beautifully. So the first thing I'm going to do to create the volume, I'm going to take this. I'm going to switch down to my 43, as I said. The 43 millimeter is going to give me a little more curl. That's what I want. Now, sometimes when I'm working for volume, especially for volume, you might have a head of hair that has a little bit of a tighter texture at the base. Now, you know, if you take a larger brush and just set it in, you're going to get a curl in the hair and volume, but you're not really going to address the root area right here that has that little tighter texture. You see this a lot when you're cutting hair also. You see it usually around the hairline. So what I'm going to do is, if I have that situation, I'm going to go in with, say, my 33 millimeter. And I'll go in first at the base, and I'll go with a smaller brush, and I'll get that all dried and pulled full so that it doesn't go back in again. Because during the heat of the day, that little bit of hair at the base can start really tightening up, and it's going to drop your volume. So if you have this situation, you can use two brushes. You can go back in first of all with your smaller brush, so you see your 33. Just get that base area done. And then you can take that out and switch back to your 43 if you want, or whatever brush you tend to use. So what I'm going to do first is we call this pre-grooming. So I'm going to take the section and I'm going to pre-groom with my brush. This gets the tangles out. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the hair, I'm going to pull her this way here, take the hair as I load the brush so that the barrel sits in at the scalp. This hair doesn't just come back toward me. It's going to come over and go to the side. It's going to drape over to the side. And that way, when I start working and move my brush up, that hair is going to feed itself right into the section. So I'm controlling the hair. This is really, really great for using for longer hair also. So I'm going to, again, pour a little bit to the side. And I'm going to pre-groom. Let me get my dryer in a good position for me. So pre-groom, we set the brush in, we call it set. Take the hair around the brush to the side, we call that lock. And then we just start working at the base. The volume is going to be determined by how well you address the base. The base is going to really create that shape. Just like in hair cutting, you know, you're pulling hair all over the place, but how you pull it is how it's going to react from the roots. So I'm going to take this and just work. The base is being dried. It's medium heat, medium volume. I'm using this high heat now. And I'm just going to start moving my brush up and letting my dryer follow up. Now again, you all blow dry hair, your own unique way. But we call this set, lock, and lift because we're setting the brush in. We're locking the hair to the side. And then we're drying the roots and lifting. And that hair is going to just feed itself right on to the brush. And as we do this now, I'm going to take that brush back down, heat it up. And what I normally do is usually a couple of passes. I'll put the dryer down, and I'll take my two fingers, and I'll grasp that hair, take the brush out, and I start to feel. And right there, I can tell I just have a touch more moisture, but I don't want to over dry it. So I'm just going to set that brush back in again at the scalp, at the base, set it, lock the hair around gently. You don't do it too tight because then you can't pull your brush lightly. And again, starting back at the base. Setting it in, lifting the brush up, taking it back down again, heating it up, and then using the cold start of my dryer, getting some of that heat off of the section. Dryer goes down, and I don't take my brush up in a big flurry. I let it set for a second because I'm trying to lock in volume. So now I'm going to just gently grab the roots with my fingers again, and just bring this up, take my fingers, create just a little bit of a curl, a stand-up curl. Because what I want to do now is allow this to cool. So now I'm going to take a clip and just set that in and let that cool. Normally, for us to get a really good set, and this has happened again for a lot of you who do a lot of dress work, wedding parties, and you might have 3 or 4 women come in and they all want a lot of curl and they want that curl to stay for the day. A lot of times you've taken the clips out too early, and you brush through, and that curl looks good, but it's going to start falling much faster. We want at least 20 minutes to a half an hour, if we had that much time, to allow hair to actually cool back into that shape. So I'm going to go into my next section now. So, and again, I like to be kind of precise. So I'm just going to take the hair I'm using here, and I'm just take a little section. And another rule of thumb for me when I'm putting volume in, especially, is that I'm not going to put so much hair on the brush that I can't see the bristles. That's one of the problems for drying hair. We work too hard when we're using too much hair on the brush. So again, what I'm doing here is I'm taking and pre-grooming it. So I want to be able to see, as I set this brush at the scalp, I want to be able to see the bristles. Really important, because if I can't see the bristles, I have way too much hair on there, which means I'm going to be working the heat way too much. So again, my second section, I pre-groom, set the brush in, lock that hair around, start with the dryer again, same heat, same temperature, same speed, and work the base. The base is going to support this whole technique. A lot of people like to put, brushes in the hair and set it in. That's a really cool technique. I think they call it the French method, to set it in like that. But, for me, I have quite a few sets of brushes, but what I don't want to do is have to buy 15 or 20, although it would be great for us at Ergo. But, you have to be able to think smartly. So instead of keeping the brush in there, I'm using a clip, because when you keep the brush in there, that handle is going to have some weight, so it's actually going to lift the hair a little bit. So I'm just going to stay using my clip as my source of keeping the hair in place. So roots are dry. I start to raise, and you see the hair just go right onto the brush. The heat of the dryer is focused right where the hair is, and the dryer is actually the force of the dryer is helping keep the hair onto the brush. So I heat up the brush, the hair. The barrel is ceramic in aluminum, so it's heating up very beautifully. Now again, what I'm going to do is grab with my 2 fingers at the base, pull the brush out, and go back through it. I'm feeling for the moisture content. I can feel that. Needs a little more, so the brush goes back in again. I always start at the base, wrap that hair around. Now I'm a real stickler for staying with the technique that works consistently. And that's another really cool thing about this is that when you work with a technique, such as set, lock, and lift, you're going to get consistent results all the time. And that's what our guests want, consistent results. So again, heating up the barrel, cool shot. Dryer goes off. I'm going to wait a second before I start pulling on the brush because I don't want to pull too much and start loosening it. So gently remove that brush, temper it with my fingers, and then again going into a stand-up curl, almost like a barrel curl, and adding another clip. So I have 2 sections done here. A lot of times when you're working, if you get to the 3rd one here, do your 3rd one, but you could also combine 2 of these together. So I could actually combine this one to this one. So I don't have as many clips in here. Okay, I'm going to do another one at the top here. Get my little phone here. And another good thing is to try to remember not to get too wide of a section also. Even though you're using a brush, such as one of our Ergo round brushes, and you can get more hair under it, doesn't mean you have to get a ton of hair. You want to make sure that you really keep consistency. So again, this is called pre-grooming. So I'm going to pre-groom that section. I'm getting all the tangles out. I'm going to step the brush in at the scalp. And turn her again this way so you can see more. Setting it at the scalp. Taking this hair, bringing it back and around the brush. So it just sits there, not a lot of tension. Going in at the base. Again, this is mechanical volume because I'm using tools to get it to set in. Set it at the base. Keep the base up. Now start to take the brush straight up, and the hair is going to just follow the dryer and the brush. Taking it back down again, heating it up. Dryer goes off. 2 fingers, just grabbing it at the base. And again, just brushing through. I can see that I have it's a little bit, just actually more in the mid shaft. So a little more moisture. So I'm just going to set it back in. Again, I start right back here at the base. I want consistent volume. I want consistent results every single time. You know, now I'm actually working a lot smarter than harder. This may seem like it's a lot of work, but really in reality it's not. Because you're controlling your hair the whole time. The pull shot, and you know what's next. I'm going to just take my 2 fingers, grab it at the base, gently remove that brush, temper it with my fingers. I can feel through it. Fingers go in, lay that right down, and just clip it. Now, when I brush this out, it's going to be just because these are mannequin heads anyway. It's not really a definite style kind of this, but you're going to see just almost it could look like almost old-fashioned volume. Other things we can do with this, and I'll do it on the next one, is we can clip it in a different fashion. So I'm going to go to my back section here. And again, I'm not taking real large sections. I get the tangles out. If I have to use a comb, I use a comb. It's not a big deal. You know, a lot of the students that we've been working with, they really like this because I have to be honest with you. I formed, in all my years, I've formed a lot of bad habits working on my own. And what happened was I got really fast and proficient with those bad habits. And so it became a way of life for me. So what I really encourage people to do is if you see something like set, lock, and lift, you may be doing a version of it, maybe you're not. Again, it may be different, but it's another thing to add to your arsenal. This is what learning is all about. You know, we don't just, when we're cooking at home, especially we're cooking at home a lot right now, you guys, we don't just cook the same recipe because that's our best recipe. We always look for new recipes, and it builds our skills up as cooks. So this is the same thing with hair. So pre-groom, set the brush in, lock the hair around the brush gently. You know, again, I have to say, I say lock, but it doesn't mean you're pulling it tight. You're just locking it around the barrel. Going in with the dryer at the base. Dry that root, and then just start lifting your brush and let that hair just move up the brush. Take the brush back down again. And the volume of air coming out is helping me keep the hair onto the brush. Setting it down. And you know what's next? I'm going to just put my fingers in. I'm going to brush through here. Feel it. Again, just slightly at the base and just a little in the mid shaft. So brush goes down, hair wraps around, locks over. This will be the second pass. We're using the little rocking motion, getting tension on those roots, and lifting up, taking it back down again, and the cold shot. Cold shot's really important, you guys. When you use that cold shot, it really starts to move that heat off of the hair. And it helps you cut down the time of what you're going to do as it sets in. So it gives you more working time. Now, again, taking my fingers down. Now here's where I'm going to actually do this a little bit differently with the curl. So I'm going to take it, temper it with my fingers, but this time, instead of making a complete curl all the way down, I'm going to just take it one turn around and leave the ends out. So just pinch this, take my pin, and go in. And I'll leave this just hang out there. What's going to happen is this kind of a curl, you're going to get the lift at the scalp, which they want, but it's not going to be an old-fashioned hairdo look. It's going to have a little more of almost like a beachy wave. And then you brush through it and get a lot out of that. So what I'm going to do is just recap this mechanical method, and I'll go into my more organic method. So on the mechanical method, as you know, I do the set, lock, and lift. I'll show you again. I'll take my brush. Brush goes at the base. After we pre-groom, brush goes at the base. Heating up the base. Moving the brush up so it's set, lock, and then we start lifting. The dryer goes up. Hair falls right through the center of the brush. It's a wonderful way, again, to work with really long hair. Take it down. You can go back in again, cold shot. And I'll do the same thing with this one here. I'll do that little different pinning. You take it. You can do either the complete for your volume curl, or just do one turn, let the ends come out, and pin. Now, as I said earlier, product is never an option when you're working. So I would be using whatever product choice I would use behind the chair, or whatever you want to use. It could be a heat protectant. It could be a volumizing spray. I would hit that as I first do the first initial curl. And usually what I'll do is, as I let this set, I'll give it a light spray with a working hairspray. and let that set in. One of the things I want you to see, however, is that this is mannequin hair, of course, but look at it. I hope you can see it. There's a lot of shine on here. There's no product to make it shiny. The tourmaline in the brush, to me, is amazing because it really does close that cuticle down, and it helps get that shine in the hair. It gives reflection into the hair. And one of the other things a lot of people don't realize about tourmaline is that if you've been out the night before, maybe you've ever been to a nightclub, and the next morning you wake up and you can smell like smoke in your hair if they're still smoking in nightclubs. Brush through with a brush that has tourmaline in it, and it removes that odor. So again, these brushes are my go-to for many, many years. You're going to love these. So this is the mechanical way of putting in volume. So I'm going to set her to the side, let her cool off a little bit. And I have another young lady here. So the other method, and again, we're all doing this. You could actually do this with your fingers instead of using a brush. But I call this more the organic way of getting volume. And what we're going to do on that is we're going to use a flat brush, and I have two that I use. These are our polishing and smoothing brushes. This is our little diamond head, which this is one of my absolutely favorite go-to brushes, even for finish work and dress work. I do a lot of smoothing out with this. Or we have our regular smoothing polishing paddle brush. What's cool about these, again, is that the same technology in the pins is a nice cushion. It's nice and soft. The pins have that little bit of a ball at the end, but that's all one piece. And I've had brushes in the past, you may have also, that have had that little ball comes off. So these are all one piece, nylon, carbon, and tourmaline, so they're going to be protected for long periods of time. Then you have brushes that, if you use them horizontally, the way that the pins are set up, they're set up, in a zigzag form almost. You're going to get tension as you move through horizontally. But as you take your brushes and you use them vertically and go through the hair, it detangles the hair because the pins are all lined up. So these are two great brushes. What I like also is the fact that I have the larger one for more work, but this smaller one, especially for shorter hair, men's hair especially, this is great for grooming for men to get the little pompadours, but also to get in those tight areas right behind the ear. This is a great brush, and the shape of it facilitates that. These have a beautiful satin smooth finish on them so that your hand has a good grip, but you're able to also maneuver the brush. And if you notice how both brushes have this little bit of an indentation, so you're able to work with your thumbs a lot. What I'm going to do, one last thing, this is the most important, especially nowadays. There's a little portal at the end here, a little hole. I don't know if you can see it there. And when you disinfect these, you can actually put these standing up in your dispensary, and the water will drain right out of that. So you're not going to get any water staying inside the brush, creating mold or anything else that could happen to it. And also, one last thing about the round brushes, I didn't mention it. To clean these, all you really need to do is take a towel. Your guest has a towel around them. Especially if you're retailing these, you can show them how to clean a brush, but most of them don't know how to do it. But you can use your towel to pull the hair off before you disinfect it. I see a lot of people doing the Maraca thing. You don't want to do that because on any of your brushes, because it's really going to damage the barrel. So really take care of your tools, and they'll take care of you. So I'm going to start off, and this is really simple. And again, I'm not trying to change the rules of hairdressing. We're already doing this, but I just want to show you the difference between doing a mechanical or round brush cooling set as opposed to just using the shape of the head. So what I do is I'll start to brush the hair in a direction where I can actually grab the hair better. So if I'm standing up in the front, I'll be brushing this way. I'm actually standing in the back here, so I'll be brushing it a little bit back. And I'm going to have to use switch hands. And this is another thing when we do blow drying classes, a lot of people have a hard time switching hands with their tools. And I think it's important, that we, especially have some time at home right now, I'm going to try to teach myself how to cut left-handed. That's my big goal right now. I've been working on it. It's not working that well, but I'm getting better. But you want to really learn how to work your brushes and your dryer switching hands, because it's going to make you a little stronger as you work in the salon. So what we'll do first of all is just start taking it back. So I'll start crisscrossing. I'll be crisscrossing the hair, getting a lot of that movement done, getting the roots first, going back again, and you can use your vertically use the paddle brush, or you can do the horizontally. But I think when I use it vertically, I'm able to really get a good section. And then from here, I'm just going to take a section of hair with my finger, separate that out of the way, and I'm just going to start working my paddle brush up and over. So I'm going to use the shape of the head. And you can do this on both sides. And again, this is something you're doing all the time. Easy to do. Let me get up my screen here and take a look at this. It says, okay. Again, take another section. Control the heat of the dryer and the force of the air coming out, and just working those roots up. So just like you're over-directing in a haircut, you're over-directing the hair for the blow dry. And if you notice what I'm doing now, I'm just using the edges to do the first half inch of the brush to pull the hair up. And I wanted to go a little bit away from the face, so I'm going back. And up. Again, back. At the first half inch of the brush. And then using the brush to control the hair and going up. And then work with that hair at the bottom. So this is, for me, more organic. I could also switch my sides here if I need to. And then just give me a little more lift. And again, using the first half into the brush to control that hair. It's all, for me, it's all of the finished work. And I love this little brush for this type of the technique because it's also closing down that cuticle. It's giving me a lot of shine in the hair, which I didn't even have before. And then just using the brush as you would otherwise, because you already have your roots done, and brush through. And what I'll do at the very end, after I do one side to the other, I'll take this side all the way over. And whatever working spray I'm working with, I'll take the section, I'll brush it back over again. I'll spray my working spray here, make sure that's going to support that. I'll take another section, brush through, again, spray, I'll allow it to sit there. And if you want a little more lift on the side, do exactly the same thing. Spray, let it cool, and then just start to work your way, getting that more organic volume. So you can see I'm already getting, without any kind of product to support it, you start getting a little more natural lift to this. So you have two ways of working, and you can actually do both. You know, you could do some of this set on the top with your round brush, let it set in mechanically. Then you can do your sides a little differently so you don't get too much curl. So there's various ways of doing that. So you have your mechanical and you have your organic. Now I'm going to take these out again here. I'll just take this down so you can see. There's nothing really supporting this curl. So I'm going to take these clips out. And this mannequin is not cut for any kind of a shape. This is just a raw mannequin, not pre-cut. But I'm just going to brush through it. And again, you can either two ways. You can use your fingers, or you can use your paddle brush. But look at the amount of height you get, a lot of volume. And this mechanical type of volume is actually going to stay in much longer. One other thing I thought about, because we're using brushes a lot, and some of you may be doing this. If you're not, I hope you'll think about it. One of the tools we have also at our disposal are these crimping irons. And this is our mini crimper. This is just a great iron. And the plates you can see, these are just phenomenally set in there. When you're using a crimper, most of the time you have to really get down there and squeeze as hard as you can. These plates are just lined perfectly. It's titanium plates, so they're not going to stain, easy to clean. And there's a little area here at the front that you can actually, if you want to press a little bit more to emboss a little bit deeper. But you can see how it's very, very narrow. I use this also for volume. I'm sure you've been doing it, some of you, maybe some of you haven't. So I'll just demonstrate this for volume. I do this a lot on fine blonde hair because I feel that it really sets up the hair better. You don't have to go back and tease, back comb, whatever it is. But it's a great tool to use to create lift at the scalp. So I'm putting it on about 360 right now. It goes up to 450. And what I'm going to do is, this is again another form of mechanical volume, but you can do this without getting curl. So if they want really straight hair, but they want that lift here instead of going back and back combing, all we need to do is take the hair, and I usually do every other section so I can cover up the embossing. And you can take fine section, so it's a fine section of hair. You take your crimper, and I put it right at the base. I keep it slightly off the scalp at the base, and I just give it one nice emboss. If you want to go up a little higher, you can, but just a touch. And you can see that little crimp right here. So I let that sit down. And I take another section in front of that, and I set it over that. Then I take the next section. Again, another thin section. I'll take my crimper again, just at the base, emboss it, just slightly. Let that sit over. Another section in front of that is left out. This can be done vertically or horizontally with sections. Another section in front of that one now. And again, fine sections. You don't want to go too crazy with the with the thick section because the embossing will show then. Take that crimper one more time. If you do a lot of avant-garde hair or you have you like to do photo shoots, these are tools you definitely need in your arsenal. Plus, a lot of my fine-haired gals are using this right now. They bought into it because it works for them, and it's easy to do. I'll take another section over that. But what you can see is, and you can actually see that it creates a really nice volume in the hair. And again, you could do this vertically. You could do diagonal sections. You know, you want to make sure that when you're working with the crimper in this fashion, that I don't do every section because then you can see it. I do every other section, so it sort of makes like stealth volume, creates great shape. So again, for me, whoops, I'm sorry, folks. Technicalities here. So for me, when I'm working in the salon, I like to have as many tools that I can use. Very important.
Yes.
You hear somebody, but I showed you. I showed you 3 methods: 2 mechanical, one using the crimper, one using the round brushes and the set, lock, and lift and cooling it off, and the other just using your paddle brush and the shape of the head to create awesome volume. You know, you guys are awesome. We're living in a really crazy time. This is a time for us to embrace what we're doing in a whole new way. When we get back to our salons, we have to be different. It's going to be different. I mean, there's no getting around it. But I want to thank you so much. And again, Shark Fin, you guys are amazing putting this together. You know, we're in it. We're all in it together. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. And Brock, what do you want to say?
Absolutely. First off, Alan, you did a fantastic job. Incredible. We had a great response from everyone.
I couldn't do it without her.
Beautiful. Yes. Thank you, Pivot Point, for gifting the beautiful mannequin heads, creating one of the best, actually the best mannequin heads on the market. So that being said, man, thank you. I want to kind of wrap this up and share my screen real quick. Let me know if you guys can see it. Here we go. Bada bing, bada boom. There we go. Woo-hoo! So yes. So everyone, you know, watching and listening, we're doing a big giveaway. This beautiful gift basket. You know, Andis has been gracious enough to share some amazing tools like the cordless Envy and the Slimline Pro. Ergo, us, right? We have the full complete brush collection in there, all 7 brushes. Shark Fin shears, Pivot Point mannequin head. I mean, there's just so much in there. You guys got to enter to win. Text right now your first name and your last name to 888-544-7254, and we're going to randomly select one winner per class. And attendees may only win one time. Makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So there we go. Just kind of going back over it one more time, step by step. What exactly did you share, just to kind of wrap it up in the next 2 minutes?
So share, what I wanted to show was that the ways we create volume, long-lasting volume is important. This is what our guests want. So using the mechanical method, what could be a tool, creating like either the crimping iron, which creates it at the roots, or using a round brush, using it with tension, using it with heat, cooling it off, and letting it set in place creates a little more of a mechanical, more longer lasting volume. And then again, using the paddle brush, flat brush, our diamond head, especially that little diamond head, to really work with the shape of the head, the round shape of the head, and creating an organic look. And you can combine all those 3 if you want to. But I just know that there's some great hair being done out there, and I'm just blessed to be part of all this.
Yes, man. That is, I mean, it's fantastic. People loved it. Very useful. And I'm excited to see the response on the back end. To let everyone else know, once again, enter to win this amazing, this toolkit filled with some great gifts from Andis, Pivot Point, Ergo, and Shark Fin. Thank you so much, Alan, for coming on to take your time to share your wealth of knowledge. That being said, we'll be announcing the winner very soon. I'm going to leave this screen up. Don't forget to text in 888-544-7254. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a
Peace and
good one.
blessings.
Yes, yeah. All right. And